All right, this is Block 3, Progressives in Power, Section 6. The Federal Trade Commission is where we're going to begin. President Wilson comes to power promising in his new freedom to establish fair competition, or to work to establish fair competition throughout the United States. And one of the first regulatory commissions that President Wilson created was known as the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC. He established this in 1914, and the goal was to prevent unfair business practices that would prevent fair competition. And the way it does this is, if you have a complaint against a particular business, if you have a particular business that you think is creating unfair competition, that is somehow interfering with fair competition, that the FTC could put out what it called a cease and desist order. A cease and desist order is not given out after something is proved illegal. Only if someone produces some evidence that a company is doing something that would prevent fair competition, the FTC would send out one of these cease and desist orders saying, all right, company one, you're not allowed to do this anymore until we investigate. And then when the FTC investigates, if they find that this first company, the one that got the complaint and then the cease and desist order against it, was indeed doing something to prevent fair competition, the government would step in and disallow that company from doing that. It is, again, an increased role of the power of the government of the United States. This is not a commission identifying things that are illegal and stopping them. This is a commission identifying things that might be illegal and stopping them before they determine their legality or not. Another thing that President Wilson did that, in his mind, increased competition was he passed what was called the Clayton Antitrust Act. And again in 1914, the Clayton Act extended Sherman Antitrust Act to give it more power against big business, more power against trusts, more power against big business and trusts, more power in favor of labor unions, allowing labor unions to do more and various things, allowing labor unions to have advantages in negotiations with employers, and it also, in another increase in the power of the government, outlawed practices that might create a monopoly. Note the difference. The Sherman Antitrust Act and laws that came after that prevented monopoly. The Clayton Antitrust Act outlawed practices that might lead to monopoly. The word that it used was a dangerous likelihood. That if your business was doing something that had a dangerous likelihood of making it a monopoly, that was illegal in and of itself. They would not even wait around to determine if a monopoly would be created. This is another example of the growth of government in the progressive era. In both of these cases, with the FTC and the Clayton Antitrust Act, theoretical things are becoming illegal to do if they might in the future lead to illegal activity. The labor unions called the Clayton Antitrust Act Labor's Magna Carta because it gave the unions much more power vis-a-vis business than they had had before.